In 1985, writer and author Larry McMurtry wrote the Pulitzer Prize-winning Western novel, Lonesome Dove. There was plans to make a movie with John Wayne, Jimmy Stewart, and Henry Fonda as its stars. The film was never made, after John Ford advised Wayne against it. However, in 1989, the novel was made into a 4-part miniseries for television, and the original broadcast of Lonesome Dove was on CBS for 4 nights from February the 5th through February the 8th. Lonesome Dove was directed by Simon Winger. His first job was to find the right actors for the 2 major characters, Captain Woodrow F. Call and Captain Augustus Gus McCrae, 2 famous retired Texas Rangers who were co-owners of the Hat Creek Cattle Company and Livery Emporium in Lonesome Dove, Texas, located on the banks of the Rio Grande. The character Captain Woodrow Call was described as largely a silent leader of men who believed in discipline, duty, and honor. The author described Woodrow Call as being stoic. It's been said that Charles Bronson was offered the role of Woodrow, but declined. James Garner also offered a leading role, but said that he was unable, for health reasons, to sit a horse for 16 weeks. Tommy Lee Jones, who ended up playing Captain Call, was first scheduled to play Augustus McCrae, and Robert Duvall was scheduled to play Woodrow Call, until Duvall, who was a bigger star at the time, read the script and decided that he'd make a better Augustus McCrae. Now, it was a wise decision for both actors. Lonesome Dove was Tommy Lee Jones's first Western, but he was a natural from his Texas roots. He is now, after his role as Woodrow, a member of the Texas Cowboy Hall of Fame. Tommy was able to perform all his own stunts as Captain Call because he grew up as an 8th-generation Texan that loved horses. Tommy Lee Jones was born on September the 15th, 1946 in Saba, Texas, about 150 miles northwest of Austin, where he still owns a ranch. Tommy and his 3rd wife, Dawn Laurel, whom he met on the set of The Good Old Boys in 1996, while she was working as a photographer on the film. They married on the 19th of March 2001 and made their home at 330 Elizabeth Road, Terrell Hills. It's a subdivision of San Antonio. Tommy's parents was Clyde C. Jones and Lucille Scott Jones. Clyde worked the oil fields as an oil rigger, and Lucille owned a beauty shop, was a teacher, and later worked for the mental health and retardation department. Clyde moved his family to Midland, the heart of the oil business, when Tommy was still a youngster. Tommy started grade school in Midland, and he will go on to attend Robert E. Lee High School, the same school that Laurel Welch attended, who will become the future First Lady, Laura Bush. While attending Lee High, Tommy received a scholarship to a prestigious prep high school for boys in Dallas, St. Mark's School of Texas. While at St. Mark's, his dad took a job overseas in Libya to work the oil fields. Tommy stayed in school at St. Mark's, where he earned a football scholarship, this time to Harvard University. At Harvard, he played on the 1968 winning football team as offensive guard. He'll earn a B.A. degree in English literature and graduate cum laude in 1969. While attending Harvard, he will become roommates and friends with the future Vice President of the United States, Al Gore. In 2000, Tommy gave the nominating speech at the Democratic National Convention for Al Gore's presidential run. At 6'1" and 200 pounds, he was still too slight a frame to make it in the National Football League. He decided to go to New York City and try acting. Now, Tommy had performed in a number of school productions at Harvard, so with the help of actress Jane Alexander, he was able to find an agent and a part in a Broadway play, A Patriot for Me, starring Maximilian Schell. It will run for 49 performances before closing. After that, things moved fast for Jones. He landed a small but significant part in the movie Love Story that starred Ally McGraw and Ryan O'Neal. Tommy played Hank, Ryan O'Neal's Harvard roommate. He was perfect for the part as he had just graduated from Harvard. The filming on location at Harvard caused so much damage to the campus, they stopped allowing movies to be made on university grounds. Now, the next year, Tommy Lee played Dr. Mark Tollard on the TV soap opera One Life to Live. While performing on the soap, Tommy met and became friends with fellow actor Tom Berenger. Jones will be on One Life to Live from 1971 until 1975. Now here he is in a wedding scene with actress Lee Warwick without ever taking a professional acting class. While working on One Life to Live, Tommy will meet and marry actress Kathleen Kate Lardner on 31 December 1971. They'll remain in New York until 1975 when Tommy leaves One Life to Live and he and Kate will head for California. He will gain several parts on TV shows such as Charlie's Angels in 1976. Also in 1976, Jones will appear with Yvette Mimieux in a crime thriller, Jackson County Jail. The next year, he will become movie mogul and philanthropist Howard Hughes in The Amazing Howard Hughes for television. The studio had first asked Warren Beatty, but they was unable to make a deal with him. The next year, on the 9th of February 1978, after 6 years of marriage, Tommy Lee and Kate Lardner divorced. 2 years after his divorce from Kate, Tommy will star in Coal Miner's Daughter in 1980, the life story of country music singer Loretta Lynn. Sissy Spacek will play the part of Loretta, and Jones will play her husband Doolittle, for which Jones will receive a Golden Globe nomination. When Tommy was asked what did Doolittle think of him playing his part, Tommy said, "He didn't think I looked good enough." The story circulated that Doolittle didn't like Tommy Lee at first, but after Tommy rented a Jeep, got drunk, drove through the front yard, caught by the cops, and beat up, Doolittle liked him after that. Of course, it didn't happen, but everyone believed that Tommy was actually capable of it. Next, it'll be Black Roads with Sally Fields, about a prostitute and a drifter finding themselves bound together, trying to survive while traveling through the rural South. During filming, Tommy met Kimberly Clowley, who was serving as an extra on the film. Kimberly, like Jones, was from Texas. Her dad had actually been at one time the mayor of San Antonio. Tommy married Kimberly Clowley on May the 30th, 1981. 1 year and 5 months later, the Joneses will have a son, Austin Leonard Jones, on 9 November 1982. At the age of 4 in 1986, Austin will be in his first film playing the son of his dad in a true life story of Russian spy Yuri Nosenko, who defected to the West at the height of the Cold War. And in the movie Scene 2, Double Image, Austin will go on to become an actor and composer. 3 years after Double Image in 1989, Tommy Lee Jones will play Captain Woodrow F. Call in Lonesome Dove, what some believe to be the best epic Western miniseries on television. 2 years after Lonesome Dove, Tommy and Kimberly will have a daughter, Victoria Kafka Jones, born September the 3rd, 1991 in San Antonio. She'll become an excellent actress, playing in several of her dad's movies. 4 years after Lonesome Dove, Tommy will go on to receive 4 nominations for the Academy Award, and he will receive the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor for his part as U.S. Marshal Samuel Gerard in The Fugitive, along with a Golden Globe. Tommy is an avid polo player, playing on a championship team. Now, the actor was once knocked unconscious and spent the night in a Houston hospital after his horse stumbled. In 1995, Jones first met Dawn Laurel while making The Good Old Boys. She was serving as an assistant camera person. Tommy will write as well as star and direct this drama western adventure, also starring with Sissy Spacek and Matt Damon. On the 23rd of March, 1996, Kimberly Clawley and Tommy Lee Jones will divorce after 2 kids and 15 years of marriage. 5 years after his divorce from Kimberly, Tommy will marry Dawn Laurel on the 9th of March 2001 in a private ceremony in Texas. In the following years, Jones will star in several outstanding movies, such as U.S. Marshal, Men in Black, Batman, The Horseman, Space Cowboys, The Missing, and several others. His star is on the Hollywood Walk of Fame located at 6925 Hollywood Boulevard. Tommy Lee Jones is still acting and going strong, with better things to come. The author of Lonesome Dove described the character of Captain Augustus Gus McCrae as being a lazy, charismatic rake with a fondness for alcohol, gambling, and whores. He is nonetheless a brave and competent fighter when required. Robert Duvall said he read the book Lonesome Dove within 10 days and said his ex-wife told him, "You must play Augustus McCrae and don't let them talk you into playing anybody else." Duvall said his agent also handled James Garner, and the studio wanted Garner for Gus McCrae. He said he told his agent, "Now if you can get Garner to switch and play Captain Call, then I will play McCrae." His agent called and said, "James has declined his role for medical conditions. He is unable to sit on a horse for all those weeks." Robert Selden Duvall was born on January the 5th, 1931 in the Navy town of San Diego, California. Duvall always said he grew up as a Navy brat. His parents was William Howard Duvall and Mildred Virginia Hart. His dad, William, was a Navy officer that started his career at the Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland, and retired as a Rear Admiral. As a Navy officer, his family moved often. Robert's mother, Mildred, was an amateur actress and Navy wife. Robert had one older brother, William, and one younger brother, John. They will both later try their hand at acting. They will appear as singers in the 1983 film written and directed by Robert, Angelo, My Love. Older brother William also taught music at the University of Wisconsin for several years, and John became an attorney. Robert, or Bob as he was called, attended Severn School in Severna Park, Maryland. Severn was established in 1914 as a preparatory school for the United States Naval Academy, grades 1 through 12. After graduating from high school, Duvall enrolled in Principal College in Elsie, Illinois. In 1953, he will graduate with a Bachelor of Arts degree. On August the 9th that same year, Robert will be drafted into the Army. He had been groomed to follow in his dad's footsteps as a naval officer, but Robert had fell in love with acting while in college. While he was stationed at Camp Gordon, he acted in plays such as Room Service. After 2 years, when his enlistment was up, Private First Class Duvall headed to New York to try acting. He enrolled in the neighborhood Playhouse School of Theater in 1955 on the GI Bill. He roomed with other classmates such as Dustin Hoffman and Gene Hackman. He supported himself by working the register at Macy's, driving a truck, and 6 months sorting mail at a Manhattan post office. Robert's acting coach, Sanford Mersner, helped him get a part in a play, The Midnight Caller, by Horton Foote. He will continue performing in plays for the next few years. In 1956, he'll get an unaccredited role as a military policeman in the movie Somebody Up There Likes Me, that stars Paul Newman, about the life of heavyweight boxing champion Rocky Graziano. Duvall will actually begin his film career in 1962 when screenwriter Horton Foote remembered him from the play Midnight Caller and recommended him for the part of a mentally disturbed character, Bo Radley, in the movie To Kill a Mockingbird that starred Gregory Peck. In March of 1962, while filming To Kill a Mockingbird, Robert met Barbara Benjamin. She was a dancer on the Jackie Gleason Show and an actress on several TV shows. It'll be 2 years later, on December the 31st, 1964, that Robert and Barbara will marry. Barbara had 2 daughters, Susan and Nancy, from a previous marriage. In 1969, Duvall will play outlaw Ned Pepper in True Grit with John Wayne, Glenn Campbell, and Kim Darby. Who can forget the scene where Marshal Rooster Cogburn, John Wayne, says to Ned Pepper's gang, "I mean to kill you in 1 minute, Ned, or see you hang in Fort Smith at Judge Parker's convenience. Which will it be?" Then Pepper responds, "I call that bold talk for a one-eyed fat man." Then the marshal says, "Fill your hands, you son of a bitch." Now, within a year, in 1970, Robert will become the first major Frank Burns in the movie MASH. 2 years later, in 1972, Robert Duvall will be in a major movie with a major part as Tom Hagen, lawyer for the mob in The Godfather. He'll receive his first Oscar nomination. In 1974, he'll continue his part as Tom Hagen in Godfather Part 2. 1 year after Godfather Part 2 in 1975, Robert and Barbara Benjamin divorced after almost 11 years of marriage. 4 years later, after his divorce from Barbara, Duvall will star in 2 major movies. First, it'll be Apocalypse Now, with Marlon Brando, who played Colonel Walter E. Kurtz, whom the brass thought had gone rogue and completely insane, fighting his own war in Vietnam and Cambodia. Marlon showed up on the set without ever reading the script. He was overweight so much that they had to film him in shadows. Martin Sheen played Captain Benjamin Willard, who was sent by command to find and eliminate Colonel Kurtz. Sheen had a nervous breakdown and a heart attack while filming Apocalypse Now. Robert Duvall played Lieutenant Colonel Bill Kilgore, commander of a helicopter cavalry group. One of his most recognized lines as Lieutenant Colonel Kilgore was, "I love the smell of napalm in the morning." Duvall will get his second nomination for an Oscar for his portrayal of Lieutenant Colonel Kilgore. Also in 1979, Robert will star in The Great Santini, with Blythe Danner playing the wife of Lieutenant Colonel Wilbur Bull Meacham, a fighter pilot known by his fellow Marines as the Great Santini. In the book, Meacham flew a F-8 Crusader, while in the movie he flies a F-4 Phantom. Duvall plays a hard-nosed Marine that treats his family like new recruits. On the 22nd of August, 1982, Robert Duvall marries actress Gail McLaughlin Youngs at Booth Bay Harbor, Maine. Gail said she first met Robert, or Bobby, in 1977 when he was in a Broadway play with her brother John Savage, American Buffalo. She fell in love with him, and they finally got together in January 1981. At the time, Gail was 26 and Robert was 50. She said at that time Bobby was interested in making a movie about a little gypsy boy named Angelo Evans. The movie dealt with the secret gypsy clans living in New York City. Robert wrote and produced the movie Angelo, My Love, with Gail as associate producer. Duvall used his own money and had to take a break during filming Angelo to do D.B. Cooper in order to make enough money to finish Angelo, My Love. Duvall's two brothers, William and John, will appear in the movie as opera singers. Gail said Duvall stayed in touch with Angelo after the film. She said that Angelo can't read or write, but he loves himself in the movies. Gail described Bobby as being a troubled soul driven by his need for perfection. It must have paid off for him because 1 year after marrying Gail, Duvall will win the Oscar for Best Actor in Tender Mercies with Tess Harper, about a drunk, broken-down country singer getting a new wife and reaching out to his long-lost daughter, which gives him inspiration to renew his career. Some say it was Duvall's best performance. The next year, on February the 14th, 1984, Robert will lose his 80-year-old dad, Admiral William Howard Duvall. Within a year, on March 11, 1985, he will also lose his 80-year-old mother, Mildred. And on December 30th, 1986, Robert Duvall and Gail Young will divorce after 3 years of marriage. It's been said she wanted to go back into acting, and he thought that she should stay home and be a wife. While still married to Gail Young, she read a book in 1985, Lonesome Dove, and told her husband, "Bobby, if that ever becomes a movie, you play Gustus McCrae. Don't let them talk you into playing any other part." He took her advice and said that he was grateful. Duvall said Lonesome Dove just goes on and on. Everybody wants to talk to me about Lonesome Dove, from Albuquerque, Canada, to Texas to Argentina. Duvall received a nomination for his role in Lonesome Dove, and many think that he should have received the Academy Award. Robert said the award is political. It's a popularity contest. Now, after finishing Lonesome Dove, he said, "I can retire now. I've finally done something that I can be proud of. It may be my favorite role." After Lonesome Dove, on May the 1st, 1991, he'll marry Sharon Brophy, a professional dance instructor. They'll stay married 4 years until 1996. During their marriage, Robert will learn to love the dance, especially the tango. After that, he'll star in several movies, such as Starlin, where he plays Joseph Starlin and wins an Emmy nomination and Golden Globe. And then it'll be The Apostle. After a life spent out of control, a preacher from Louisiana leaves everything and goes to Texas and starts preaching on the radio. Next, it'll be Open Range with Kevin Costner, where a former gunslinger is forced to take up arms again when threatened by outlaws. During filming, Duvall accidentally falls off his horse and fractures several ribs, although he's an excellent horseman. In 1996, he goes to Argentina to make The Man Who Captured Eichmann. Again, he'll win an Emmy nomination. While in Buenos Aires, he will patronize tango clubs, even hiring tango instructors to come back to his farm and ranch in Virginia. He considers Argentina his second home, and the tango his first love, That is, until he met 24-year-old Luciana Pedrouz in 1997. While in Buenos Aires looking for a flower shop that had closed, he decided to go instead to a nearby bakery, where he met Luciana, who had been prompted to ask him to come to a store opening that sold tango accessories. She gave him her phone number, and to her surprise, he called her the next morning, inviting her to go to dance at a local tango club. They both loved the tango, and in 2002, they teamed up in a movie, Assassination Tango. Most of the movie was shot in Buenos Aires, about an assassin that was sent to Argentina to assassinate a general and falls in love with a tango and a beautiful woman. In 2004, on October the 6th, 32-year-old Luciana Pedrouz married 75-year-old Robert Seldom Duvall. Age makes no difference to the Duvalls. No one can do the dance of love, the tango, like the Duvalls. They are still making movies together, like The Wild Horse in 2015, where a detective opens a cold case and finds a boy was murdered and suspected a local rancher. Robert Duvall stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame located at 6801 Hollywood Boulevard. He has 1 Oscar, 7 nominations, 7 Golden Globe nominations, and 4 winners. He has no rumors or controversies associated with his career. Another member of the Hat Creek Cattle Company was Joshua Dietz, a black scout and tracker from the Texas Rangers during the early days with Captains Call and McCrae. The character of Joshua Dietz was taken from the real-life African-American cowboy Bose Eichert. After the Civil War, Eichert had moved from Mississippi to Texas and became a tracker and scout on cattle drives, and became Charles Goodnight's de facto banker, trusted on several occasions to carry thousands of dollars in cash until it could be deposited. The actor Danny Glover was perfect for the part of Dietz. Glover had worked and fought his entire life for the rights of minorities. It was easy to see he had a personal connection with the character. It was also helpful that Glover was one of the better-known actors, thanks in part to the movie Lethal Weapon, where he played an easygoing, quiet police detective saddled with an unstable partner, Mel Gibson. Danny LeBurn Glover was born the 22nd of July, 1946 in San Francisco, California. His parents, James Henry and Carrie Hunley Glover, both worked for the Postal Service. They were also active and ardent supporters of the NAACP. Danny said his dad was a World War II veteran, and he was raised in a loving home. He said, "I could see the love in my parents' eyes." Danny was the oldest of 3 brothers, Martin, Reginald, and Rodney. He also had 1 younger sister, Connie. While growing up, Danny was disabled with epilepsy, often having seizures, and he'll continue until he reaches the age of 35. To make things even more complicated, he struggled with dyslexia. Danny will attend Webster Elementary and Roosevelt Middle School in San Francisco. At age 11, he will arise early, before school, and carry a paper route. During the summers, he will spend time with his grandparents in Louisville, Georgia. He spoke of his grandfather as being the salt of the earth with good, solid judgment. Danny will attend George Washington High School and graduate in 1964. He'll then enter San Francisco State University. His desire was to become an economist. To pay his way in college, Glover worked as a hospital dishwasher and custodian. While at San Francisco State, he'll meet his future wife, Asak Bomani. He thought her so beautiful that he had to meet her. So he waited outside her English classroom for her to come out so he could talk to her. And when she did, he said hi and then walked away. After college, Danny will eventually go to work for the city of Berkeley. He will also begin studying acting at the Black Actors Workshop of the American Conservatory Theater. In 1975, while still working for the city, Danny Glover and Isaac Bomani married. She will fully support his desire to become an actor. The next year, on the 5th of January 1976, Isaac Bomani and Danny Glover will have a daughter. They named Mandisa. She'll grow up showing respect and love for her parents. Although she had little desire to work in front of the camera as her dad, she's a businesswoman and has worked some in the film industry. Now, in 1977, Danny quit his job with the city of Berkeley in order to spend full-time studying acting with Gene Skelton at the Skelton Actors Lab. It'll be 2 years later before Glover will land his first film appearances in Escape from Alcatraz, starring Clint Eastwood. Danny will play as one of the several guards at the age of 31. In 1983, Danny will lose his beloved mother, Carrie, in an automobile wreck in New Mexico while driving her family to Georgia with her son Rodney and 2 grandkids. Danny said that his daddy was lost after her death. It'll be 2001 before he will pass away at the age of 82 from kidney disease. It'll be 1984 before Danny Glover will have his breakout role as Mose, with Sally Fields playing a widowed woman in the 1930s with 2 small children struggling to survive on a small farm. In 1985, Danny will star with Whoopi Goldberg and Oprah Winfrey in The Color Purple, about black women growing up in the early 1900s exploring their hardships. Also in 1985, Glover will play supporting roles in 2 more movies, Witness with Harrison Ford and Silverado starring Kevin Kline. In 1987, Danny will team up with Mel Gibson in Lethal Weapon. They play 2 Los Angeles police detectives. When Detective Martin Riggs, Mel Gibson's wife, dies, he has to partner with an older detective, Roger Murtaugh, Danny Glover. Riggs becomes restless and suicidal, but the 2 manage to break up a drug ring. In 1989, Glover will be in demand, starring in Lethal Weapon 2, again with Mel Gibson. Also that same year, Danny will become Joshua Dietz in one of the best Western miniseries on TV, Lonesome Dove. The death scene of Glover's character, Joshua Dietz, according to statistics, affected viewers so much it was only second to the death scene of Captain Augustus McCrae. The next year after Lonesome Dove, Glover will star in Predator 2, fighting aliens in the streets of Los Angeles. That same year in 1990, Danny and Isaac will purchase this house located at 737 Buena Vista Avenue, West San Francisco. And in 1992, again Glover will star with Mel Gibson in Lethal Weapon 3. And in 1989, it'll be Lethal Weapon 4. On the 4th of August, 1999, Danny will file for divorce from his wife of 25 years, Isaac Bomani, on grounds of irreconcilable differences. The divorce became final in 2000. She'll keep the mansion at 737 Buena Vista. Danny will continue his acting and directing career. He'll continue his political activism and even be arrested several times when he sees a cause that needs his help. In 2003, Glover traveled to Brazil to attend the World Social Forum, where he met a Brazilian educator and humanitarian, Elaine Cavallero, who focused her work on issues of race and education. 9 years after Danny's divorce, he will marry Elaine Cavallero in 2009. While Danny continues his acting career, his wife Elaine teaches a graduate class at Stanford. While on the cattle drive of Lonesome Dove, who can forget the prostitute that Augustus McCrae referred to as Lori Darling? Lori Wood was raped and tortured by the outlaw Blue Duck, leaving her traumatized. Gus McCrae comes to her rescue and becomes her protector and lover. Lori was, believe it or not, respected by the cowboys who considered her to be a whore with a good heart. Lori Wood was played by actress Diane Lane. Actress Diane Colin Lane was born January the 22nd, 1965 in New York City. Her parents were Burton Eugene Lane and Colleen Farrington Lane. Her dad was a Manhattan acting coach and run an actor's workshop. He was also a one-time cab driver and taught humanities at a city college. Her mother, Colleen, was a nightclub singer, a model, actress, and centerfold, Miss October 1957. It's been said that Elaine's parents separated 13 days after she was born. Colleen took Diane to Mexico to get the divorce. It's believed that they stayed there until her mother moved back to Georgia and remarried. At the age of 6, her dad took custody and she went to live with him. They lived in different residential hotels throughout the city. It's been said she worked on stage the first time at the age of 6 through her involvement with the Ellen Stewart's La Mama Experimental Theater. She was picked for a part in Medea that will be the beginning of many to follow. Her schooling was mostly distant learning or homeschooling through correspondence courses. She would sometimes ride with her daddy in his cab that he used to make money when acting was slow. At the age of 12 in 1977, Diane got a part in a play, The Cherry Orchard, with Meryl Streep. However, with her unstable family life, the theater became her surrogate family. Diane was pretty much on her own except for her stage family. In 1978, at the age of 13, she was in a Joseph Papp Broadway play, The Runaway. At the same time, director George Roy Hill wanted her for the film A Little Romance with Theonis Bernard and Laurence Olivier. On August 13, 1979, at the age of 14, she'll be featured in Time magazine entitled Hollywood Whiz Kids. The next year in 1980, she was told by Elaine Ford modeling agency that her neck was too short to be a model, but evidently it was just right to be a movie star. Also in 1980, at the age of 15, Diane declared her independence from her dad and went with fellow actor Christopher Aiken to Los Angeles. Not long after, she was back staying with friends in New York and paying rent. She enrolled at Hunter College High School, where she had been taking regular correspondence courses. Not long after, her mother seized her and took her back to Georgia, where she started her junior year at Savannah Christian Repertory School. Her dad soon filed suit on her behalf, and she ended up back in New York with him. She didn't speak to her mother for 3 years. She will later make up with her mother and admit that her reckless behavior as a youngster comes from having too much independence too young. In 1981, she will star with Christopher Aiken, the same actor that she had run off to L.A. with in Child Bride of Short Creek. Also that year, she played Jenny Littlebreeches with Amanda Plummer as Annie in Cattle Annie and Littlebreeches. In 1983, Francis Ford Coppola cast her in 2 youth movies, Rumblefish and The Outsiders. In 1984, Diane will be in The Cotton Club, co-starring Richard Gere. The film was a financial flop. However, during the promotion of the film in Paris, she met Frenchman actor and producer Christopher Lambert. They'll have a short romance only to reunite 2 years later. At the age of 19, after the filming of Cotton Club, unhappy with the way her films and career was going, tired of the criticism, she left the movies for 3 years. In 1987, she returned to the screen in Lady Beware, doing a sexy stripper routine that became the highlight of the film, and it helped establish her on-screen image. Next year, in 1988, she'll reunite with Christopher Lambert when they star in Priceless Beauty. Within 2 weeks, they will be back together romantically and marry shortly after in October of 1988. In 1989, Diane will appear in the epic Western miniseries Lonesome Dove. She'll be nominated for an Emmy for her portrayal of Lori Wood, the good-hearted prostitute. Lonesome Dove will introduce Diane to an even much larger audience, and she'll become an even more demand after that. Although she was a noted star before Lonesome Dove, and she will have major roles throughout her career, such as her Oscar nomination for her performance in Unfaithful in 2002. In 2003, People magazine had her as one of the most beautiful people in the world. On September the 5th, 1993, Diane and Christopher Lambert will have a daughter, Eleanor Jasmine Lambert. Like her parents, Eleanor will become an actress. The next year, in 1994, Eleanor's parents, Diane and Christopher, will divorce. It'll be 10 years before Diane will marry again. On the 15th of August, 2004, she'll marry Josh Brolin. They'll separate a year later, but won't divorce until 2013. Diane Lane is still a very talented and beautiful actress, with movies and possible award-winning roles ahead. But, as for me, she remains Lori Darling.